Hello WinCraps fans. Due to the recent interest in the Waylon's ladder video, I've decided to add another one, a variation called Waylon's 410 DP ladder. You can find this listed on YouTube under Waylon's WinCraps. Basically, Waylon is starting with a $6,000 bankroll. He's using units of $100, and he's making a 1 unit buy 4 bet, a 1 unit buy 10 bet, and a 2 unit don't pass bet. So the don't pass is always going to be equal to the sum of buy 4 and buy 10, disregarding the VIG, of course. The buy bets are going to work on the come out roll, and all 3 bets are going to work together in this ladder. They're going to simultaneously go up or down the ladder according to whether it's winning or losing. So if a decision occurs and there is a net loss between these 3 bets, then he's going to increase by 1 unit on the buy bets and 2 units on the don't pass bet. Whenever there's a decision and there's a net win on these 3 bets, he's going to decrease by 1 unit on the buy bets and decrease by 2 units on the don't pass bet. So don't pass bet is really always twice the amount of any single buy bet. So that means there's times where they could offset each other. For instance, let's say the point were 4 and you rolled a 4, the buy 4 would win, so $100 would pay $200. The DP would lose, it would lose $200, so they would offset each other, make a push, and the next bet was going to be a same bet. So you can go to Waylon's channel and you can see how he plays that out, and then I'll show you here how to make it into an AutoBet script. So I've written the rules down here already. I'll go over them again real quick. The starting or minimum bet is going to be 1 unit each on buy 4 and 10, 2 units on the DP. On any decision, for a net loss, it's going to go up a unit on the buys and 2 units on the DP. For a net gain, it's going to go down 1 unit on the buys and down 2 units on the DP. A push is going to be same bet, and the buys are going to work on the come out roll. So let's start writing down some possibilities and see if we can't mold it into some kind of a code. What are some of our possibilities here? We could say that the buy 4 wins, the buy 4 loses, the buy 4 has no action. We could say a buy 10 wins, the buy 10 loses, or the buy 10 has no action. We could say the don't pass wins, the don't pass loses, or the don't pass has no action. Those are all our possibilities. So let's see if we can kind of mold those together and consolidate. We know that whenever he has a single hit on a buy bet, that's going to cause to take some action here. So if there's a net win, it doesn't have to be a simultaneously a win on both buy 4 and 10. They're going to work together. In other words, if a buy 4 wins and the don't pass has not lost, then we're going to go down the ladder. So we really can combine all these things. So if a buy 4 wins or a buy 10 wins, we can combine those. We can handle those together. Same thing if a buy 4 loses or the buy 10 loses, we can handle those together as well. And last but not least, if there's no action on the 4 or no action on the 10, we can handle those together as well. The don't pass, winning, losing, and no action, there's really nothing to combine there, so we kind of leave those as they are. Now let's see if we can't make some kind of a logical structure out of this, or a framework. If the buy 4 wins or buy 10 wins, then we want to do something. We'll fill that in later. Else, if the buy 4 loses or buy 10 loses, then we want to do something. Again, we'll fill it in later. Else, we could say if no action, but really there's no need to. This is the last option there is, so we can just say else. We'll do something, and we can close that one up. Now, what about the don't pass? Really, in order to, since they're all going to work together, in order to combine these with the buy bets, we can really take this whole block, and I'll turn it into comments just to make it easier. We can take this whole block and copy it and paste it into each option with the buy bets. So for instance, whenever buy bets win, we're going to have the option of what happens to the don't pass, win, lose, or no action. Whenever the buy bets lose, we have again the options don't pass, win, lose, or no action. And whenever the buy bets have no action, we have the options of don't pass, win, lose, or no action. So let's take a look at each one individually and see if they're really viable. When would a buy 4 win or buy 10 win? Now these are going to work on the come out rule. So they would win, we'll put this in as a comment, whenever you roll a 4 or a 10. So let's look at these options in here now. Is it possible for the don't pass bet to win if you roll a 4 or a 10? No, it's not. It can only win you roll a 7 or a 2-3 on the come out roll. So that's not a possibility. We're going to eliminate that. Is it possible for a don't pass to lose on a roll of 4 or 10? Yes, if the point were 4 or 10, that is an option. In that case, we would have a winning buy bet offset by a losing don't pass bet. And we said, according to the rules, that means we're going to make the same bet. How about don't pass, no action? Is it possible to have no action if you roll a 4 or a 10? Certainly. What if the point were 5 and you rolled a 4? That's going to be no action on the DP. In that case, if you rolled a 4, you would win, and the DP would have no action. It's a net win, and we said according to a net win that you want to go down 1 unit. Now let's look down here. When would a buy 4 lose or a buy 10 lose? Again, they work on the come out rule. Well, that would be any time you roll a 7. Is it possible for a don't pass bet to win if you roll a 7? Well, certainly. That's what happens every time you make a point. So if that's going to be the case, you would have a losing buy bet and a winning DP bet. They push, and therefore you're going to make the same bet. How about don't pass loses? Is it possible to lose on a roll of 7? Certainly. On a come out roll, you could lose both the buy bets and the don't pass bet. In that case, it's a net loss. So you would go up 1 unit, and of course 2 units on the DP. How about no action? Is it ever possible to have no action on a don't pass bet when you roll a 7? No, it's not. So we can eliminate that one. Now let's go down to the last block here. If there is no action on the buy 4 or buy 10, what are our possibilities for the don't pass? How does the don't pass win? It can win on a roll of 2 or 3 on the come out, or you 7 out. So that's a viable possibility. So we'll handle that. How about losing? Can the don't pass lose? What are its possibilities? How about rolling 7 or 11 on a come out, or making a point, and it would lose. How about no action? Well, yes, it's possible to have no action, but if there's no action on the 4 or 10 and no action on the DP, there's really nothing for us to do. So let's eliminate that. Now let's look at these again. Don't pass winning. Rolling a 2 or 3 on the come out. That's fine. We can handle that here. How about a 7 out? Well, if there's a 7 out, we kind of already handled that up here. We said the buy 4s and buy 10s are going to lose, and the DP is going to win. So that's really already handled up there. So we can just eliminate that portion here. How about the DP losing? If we roll a 7, yes, it would lose. Well, again, we kind of already handled that up here. Rolling a 7, DP loses. So that's kind of handled as well. So these are our possibilities here. Now let's go back to the top and let's form these interior portions into some logic. So let's say if the don't pass loses, then we're going to make the same bet. Else, if the don't pass has no action, well, actually we don't need to say no action because that's only the other option, so we'll just say, make that a comment, we'll just say else, go down 1 unit, close up the logic, give it a quick check. Now you can see here here's buy 4, 10 wins, and here are our possibilities inside. We'll make the actual bets here in just a minute, we'll fill them in. Now let's look at the next section. Buy 4, buy 10 loses, we can say if don't pass wins, then we're going to go to same bet. else if don't pass loses, then we're going to go up 1 unit, and then we can close that logic up. That looks good. Again, we'll fill those in a minute. Let's go look at the last part here. We can say if don't pass wins, then, actually we didn't fill it all out here, we'll fill it out here in just a second. And then we can say else if don't pass loses, then we'll do something there as well. Hit that with an end if. So right now we're just worried about the logical framework. So now we have that in all 3 sections. Let's go back up to the top again and say we want to make the same bet. So how are we going to do that? Now, why don't we plan on when we do make bets, we're going to make the buy for bet first. And we'll kind of use that as a key for the other bets. I'll show you what I mean. So let's say we're going to say for same bet, we're going to say bet whatever was on the prior buy for, whatever that amount is, we're going to bet it again on buy 4 and on buy 10. And then we know that the don't pass is always going to be equal to twice the amount of the buy 4 bet. So just to make it easy, we'll just say buy 4 times 2 on don't pass. Okay, so that's the same bet. Why don't we just copy that now, and we'll kind of use that as a basis for our other bets. How about the next part here? Now we want it to go down a unit. So let's paste in here and mold this to make it go down a unit. So we're going to bet prior amount on buy 4 minus $100, that's our 1 unit, on buy 4 and buy 10. Then buy 4 times 2 is still going to be the don't pass. So we're finished with that section. Let's go to the next one. If the don't pass wins, we want to make the same bet again here. So we'll just paste in that code we had before. Done. And here, if the don't pass loses, we want to go up a unit. So let's paste our same bet in, and then this is add in, go up a unit, plus 100. Okay, now that's done. Now let's come down here, and we're going to say don't pass wins. The buy bets had no action. Don't pass wins, so that's a net win. That means we want to go down. So let's paste in our bet here, and we're going to go down a unit, minus 100. And if the don't pass loses, that would be a net loss. So in that case, we want to go up 1 unit. So we'll go in here and play, say, a plus 100. That should do it. Let's check the script. That looks good. Now we have everything covered here. All the bets, winning, losing, all combinations. The one thing we haven't done yet that we need to is to get the whole ball of wax rolling. We need to say if the buy 4, again we're keying on the buy 4, if the buy 4 is equal to 0, then let's make our basic bets. So we can just say bet 100 on buy 4 and buy 10. And again, we'll use the same verbiage we did before. We're going to say bet buy 4 times 2 on don't pass. Okay, check the script there. We forgot to put a space there. Check it again. Looks good. All right, we got everything going. Now we can go to the table and play with it. Activate the script. Let's go to the table. Let me just close this screen. We'll start a new session. Clear out the previous data. And you can see now it made our bets. Oh, it didn't make the didn't call it on. So we did forget one thing. Let's go back and put that in. We forgot to call the bets on. We can just go to the bottom here and just say call on buy 4 and buy 10. Done. Check the script. Looks good. Let's reactivate it so we can get it on the table. There we go. Now we have buy bets that are called on, and we have our 2-unit DP bet. So we could hand roll that and just see how it goes. Or we can take a look on the hyperdrive, see what's going to happen. Slow that down here just a little bit, and let's get going. Okay, we ran into a problem here already. It says shooter has no line bet. Now why could that be? He still has bankroll. He's got $1,120. He went down. He's not busted out, but he can't go any further. So let's take a look here. He's at some point in the script where it's calling for a 7 units on the buy 4 bet. So he's done that. Of course, there's 35 vig there too. And then he ran out of bankroll. He was unable to make the same unit bet on the buy 10. He could only get $367 out there together with the vig. And he ran out of bankroll. So there was no bankroll left to make a don't pass bet. So since he's the shooter on the table and he needs to have a line bet, it's not letting him go any further. And even if we were to make it or allow him to do that, say put another player on the table, we really wouldn't want that anyway, because by this point, the strategy has busted. You're not able to make the bets necessary. And so it would call it a bust and move on to another session. So how about we go into the script and we add something to accommodate that. How about at the bottom, we're going to say if the buy 4 is less than 100, that's our minimum amount we want on there, our minimum bet, or the buy 10 is less than the buy 4, because really the buy 10 should always match the buy 4, or the don't pass is less than the buy 4 times 2, because it really should always be double one of the buy bets. Then we want to start a new session. All right, so that'll work for us. How about we put in a win goal here as well? How about we say or bankroll is greater than beginning bankroll times 1.2. So we're going to say that the bankroll increases by 20%. Let's check the script. Looks good. So now we're set up to run multiple sessions. We have it set up so anytime there's not enough bankroll to make these bets that we want, it's going to restart a session, or anytime we hit a win goal, it's going to start a new session. Let's go back to the table. Let's start a new simulation. We don't need to save anything here. We're going to clear out the previous data. Let's go back to the bankroll screen, and let's run a little bit and see what happens. Okay, it looks like it's not going too far and it's resetting. So we're hitting either win goals or stop loss, and it's resetting. It looks like we're getting probably an average of, I don't know, 50, 70 rolls per game, per session, and then it restarts. We could close this screen, let the hyperdrive run for a little bit and see what kind of data we can get. Then we'd look at the sessions log. And we can see we've already run 62 games here, but that's not going to give us a whole lot of meaningful data. So just to save time, I already did this earlier. I ran 5,000 sessions. And now we can take a look at what we've got. Out of 5,000 sessions, we ended up with a 64% win rate. That's pretty good. Almost 36% loss rate. The average session was 56.12 rolls long. The shortest session was 4 rolls long. The longest session was 415 rolls long. If we look at the amount won or lost, we can see, despite the fact that we had a majority of winning sessions, we still lost on average $625 per session. Now that's because we set a win goal of $1,200, basically it's 20% of $6,000. But the loss limit can go all the way up to 6,000. So the combined sum total of all these losses exceeds the sum total of all these wins. And it comes out to $625 loss per session. So even though you're winning quite often, in the end, it ends up being a negative. Now you can do all sorts of things on here to play with this. You can come in here and if you want to hand roll it, for instance, you might want to enter just some little messages to tell you what's going on here. So let's say here we've got a buy 4 win and a don't pass loss. So how about we could enter in a little message here. Show message. We're going to say push. Now we want to take that same message, copy it, And wherever else we have a push, we can enter that as well. So where else have we got? Here's a loss and a win. So here's another push. Let's enter it here. So now we've got a push, two push options. How about here? Here's where we're going down. So let's say here we're going to show a message that says down 1 unit. And we'll copy that. And let's see, where else are we going down 1 unit? Right down here. So we can add that in. And let's see, how about here, where we're going up a unit? We can add that in. And this case, we'll just change down to up. Let's copy that. Control C. And let's see, where else have we got going up a unit? That's right here. Up unit. And how about the very top here? Down, up, push. I think we got it all covered. So if you wanted to hand roll it and have some little messages show up, let's see what that looks like. I'm just going to hand roll here. And every time it reaches a decision, we should get a little message box. Okay? So here we rolled a 9. So the don't pass is going to lose. The by 4 and 10, they were a push. So that's a net loss. That means you have to go up a unit. And here it's telling us to go up a unit. Now we rolled a 7 out. So the don't pass wins. The buy bets lose. So therefore it's a push. And we have a little message that says push. So you can add little messages in to kind of help you either diagnose your strategies, your scripts, or just to provide information, because sometimes they can get quite complicated, and little information can go a long way to help you debug your scripts. Other things you could change, you can come in here and change obviously 1 unit. Instead of making $100, you can change it to something else. You could change the your beginning bankroll. You could even enter that in the script if you want. You could change the criteria for stop loss and win goals, and run all kinds of sessions and see what you get out of that. You might get some better results. You can also make things a little easier by maybe you want to use some check stacks here. Let's say I wanted to do some things on initialization. I could say if initializing script, then let's take a check stack, and we're going to use the abbreviated version, check stack 1, and let's call that unit. So 1 unit, and we're going to say that is equal to 100. And let me just do a little check here. So now, instead, wherever we have 100 in, we can substitute in check stack 1 unit. So I'm going to copy that. I could go search for it all over. Another thing I can do is I can just do a find, and I can say I want to find 100, and I want to insert checkstack1.unit. So I don't want to replace the very first one, so I'll say find next. Now I'll say replace, 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 and replace, and replace. And now we're back up to the initial one, and that's the one we're going to ignore. We're all done. So now we have a script where we can very easily modify which units we want to use. We can set this to 25, 30, I mean, whatever units you want to use. You don't have to go searching through the whole script to find every instance. You can just change it right here. Now you could do the same thing with all sorts of stuff. You change your bankroll, and you might want to set a certain number of sessions as a limit. So you could set a check stack and increment the check stack every time a session completes. And then when it reaches a certain limit, you could tell it to stop auto-rolling hyperdrive. So I hope you find that informative, and maybe it helps you write some of your scripts, and have fun with it. Good luck.